it's me, Erica, and so today I'm going to show you guys how to make this Kingdom Hearts inspired jar based on the Paopu fruit to honor the release of Kingdom Hearts 3 finally after so many years. And I decided to make this just because it seemed like a cute idea because I saw this jar at Daiso and I thought, hey, Kingdom Hearts is coming out, I think I can make something, and I wanted to show you guys how to make it in case you want to make your own to honor the release date. And I feel like I just repeated myself, so let us get to the supplies and let's get to making it. So the supplies you will need are a star jar. As I mentioned, I bought mine from Daiso. However, if you cannot find a star jar or you don't have a Daiso, you can purchase a star jar on Etsy and or just use a regular old mason jar, just it won't have the star shape. Photo paper, clear duct tape or vinyl or a laminating sheet, scissors, resin, disposal cups and utensils, acrylic paint, a paintbrush, glitter, which is optional, long sticks, air dry clay, sand, Shrinky Dink's rough and ready version, color pencils, and an optional Mod Podge ink glue. So the first thing you want to do is actually print a picture of Sora on photo paper. I already did those steps just because I had other steps going through it. Make sure when you're printing him to set him to scale that you want him to be in the jar, and then cut him out, and then after he's cut out, go ahead and then cover him in either duct tape, vinyl, or a laminating sheet. Because we are going to be putting him in resin, we don't want him to get wet and soaked into the jar. So putting that sheet of protection works, and then after you put the sheet, go ahead and cut it again one more time, and then you have Sora. So after that cutting is done, we will be making our first batch of resin, and resin is really corrosive to the skin, so I would highly recommend wearing gloves. You don't see me wearing gloves in here just because I ran out of gloves, but I actually got itchy after this DIY, so just a forewarning, always wear gloves if you're working with resin. So resin is different depending on the brand that you use. So for mine, it's 1 part resin, 1 part hardener. So make sure when you're looking and making your resin, look at the instructions. So for the first batch of resin, I wanted to make a gradient effect into the jar. So I made it a darker color and added more glitter. And as mentioned, you can not add any of the color and or the glitter to the resin if you just want it to be clear, but I kind of wanted to make him really float in like blue water. And when you're adding the color to the resin, make sure to do it little by little, because if you put too much, you can't reverse it and it'll be too opaque for you. So after that batch of resin is done, I went ahead and poured it into the jar. After you poured it in, resin does take a while to dry, so I would recommend waiting one day or 24 hours before moving on to the next batch. So the next day, I made my second batch of resin. I added a lighter version of the blue, or less drops of the blue and less glitter, so that it did have a gradient effect, and also that you could see Sora more. And once that resin was mixed, I poured it in, and then using 2 barbecue sticks that I had, or you can use any 2 long sticks, go ahead and place Sora onto one of the sides of the glass so that he can seem like he's falling in the water. So while you're waiting for the resin to dry, we can actually move on to the next items that are going to go into this jar, which are the wayfinders. So using Shrinky Dinks, this is the rough and ready kind. We're going to draw the wayfinders for Aqua, Terra, and Ventus. So of course, when doing this, you can freehand the wayfinders, but I'm making things symmetrical is not my thing, and the wayfinders are pretty symmetrical, so I decided to use a reference and trace the pictures from online. So when using Shrinky Dinks, go ahead and use color pencils or a pen to outline the shape on the rough side of the Shrinky Dinks. And of course, also make sure when you are using a reference picture to remind yourself that these things are going to be shrinking, hence the name. Make things bigger so it doesn't shrink too much to the point that you can't really see when they actually shrink. And then once you trace the images, go ahead and color it to the colors that you wanted to color. And then after everything is done, go ahead and follow the instructions on the shrinky dink packaging and bake them in the oven. So these are mine after I bake them in the oven. See, as I mentioned, they grew a lot smaller, and this step is totally optional. I just wanted to do this because I had the glaze. So I decided to glaze the wayfinders with. You can do this with a special type of glaze, or you can also do this with Mod Podge. So after the drying of the glaze has been done, we're going to move on to the next step, which is using air dry clay to stand the wayfinders up so they look like they're kind of dug into the sand as opposed to laying into the sand later. And I just rolled some balls so they could stand up. And then after that was done, I placed them into the jar. Since the air dry clay was already out, I formed the leaves on the side of the paopu fruit, which is going to go onto the cork that is on top of the star jar. And then once those things dry, go ahead and put sand in the jar after putting in the wayfinders. And after the sand and the leaf part is dry, paint the cork a brown and also paint the leaves green. I originally painted the cork green, so it had, but I decided against that, and that's why I say painted brown. So then after that, you are finished with the DIY. There's a lot of steps in this DIY, but I think it is worth it because it does look really cute on the side of my bookcase, and it's a cool way to express your love for Kingdom Hearts, as Kingdom Hearts 3 is vastly and closely approaching. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this DIY, and if you like this DIY or the many featured in this channel, be sure to subscribe if you want to. And also, if you do any of these DIYs, please don't be scared to show them to me using the hashtag ILADIYs on Instagram, Twitter, or Tumblr. Do people still use Tumblr? I don't know. And if you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments below. So once again, thank you again, you guys, and see you next time. Bye!